tier 1 creatures here. Part of the mess in the back I just moved, but we're only doing tier 1 creatures. So let us get started. Please don't forget, like, subscribe, let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and be sure to check out all of the up and coming updates for all of the different tier creatures, as well as towns and heroes and everything. So we'll get started. We'll just start with peasants here. Peasants are C. The only reason why they are not in D is just because of the taxpayer money that they give you. Otherwise, they are arguably like the worst unit in the game, aside from maybe goblins here. But yeah, peasants, the taxpayer definitely helps Haven. And honestly, I'll put both of these peasants into A just because of the taxpayer and just because they're a little bit better. This one gives you a stun, and this one has a possible second blow there. But aside from that, both of them are pretty trash just as well. But definitely have an extra income for Haven. Make sure that they pretty much just like never run out of gold at all. Imps, I'll give this imp honestly probably a A. I think I'm gonna give them an A and both of these ones an S. The biggest reason why imps are so good, no matter what point in the game you're in, is because they steal all of your mana. Especially in the early and mid game, when you lose that amount of mana from any of these guys, is pretty just devastating. Now, late game, it's a little bit less devastating just because you'll have so much, but still just the fact that you will end up, if the game goes on, if the fight goes on long enough, you'll not have as much mana as you would have. Especially if you're using this one where it's siphoning from you to them, to your hero, so you can cast more. Like, that's huge. So I definitely think imps, for a tier 1 unit, their utility is unmatched compared to everybody else's. Maybe the only other utility is maybe the dryads, but we'll get to them in a minute. But yeah, I would still say imps are S. Minimum, they're A, just because of how much mana they just absolutely take out of you. Skeletons, I'll give them C. The only reason why they're not in D is just because they're undead, got some, you know, resistance and shit because they're undead, but aside from that, you know, they're not too amazing. Skeleton archers, I'll give them to A. Biggest reason why they're not in B is just because you can rack up so many of them. Their damage and defense is pretty mid, it's not very great, but one, they're undead, which is nice, you know, just same as all Necropolis, but also the fact that after every single fight, you're getting free skeleton archers, should you choose that upgrade or whatever you want to call it, hero ability. But still, just the fact that you can gain so many is super, super nice. So I definitely think they deserve an A because of that. Minimum, they're B for sure. Definitely not S, just because they don't really do so much damage and have very much defense, but it is what it is. Now the shield one, I'm going to give to A as well. Now I don't really use the shield one, but the fact that you take half less damage from ranged attacks is pretty big for a tier 1. Not necessarily that they're a high value target, but still. You can also have them next to your leeches, or even have them next to a set of skeleton archer stack as well, and block with their shield, which is super nice. Chance to stun too, and they're 25% magic proof, so having less magic damage against you is huge. So as a tier 1, the amount that this skeleton brings is rather large. I mean, there's a lot of things that they do, plus being undead on top of that as well is just a whole other aspect to it. Now, with the pixies, I'll give to B, mostly just because there's no enemy retaliation, and the spray attack or multiple hit attack, whatever you want to call it, decent. Not super high damage and not super high defense. They're both pretty mid, but the fact that you can hit multiple people and not get retaliated is pretty good. Now the sprites, same thing, but can also cast. So I'll give sprites an A, mostly just because they're a little bit better and have the ability to cast. Now the cast is not super great, um, but it is decent, especially early game, and especially if you're using, I think her name is Dariel. The extra wasp swarm damage, I believe, counts towards pixies as well. Um, Now the dryads don't cast, but they can heal themselves and Trents, and can still do the spray, which pixies can as well. So I'm going to give dryads an S. I think if you can keep them alive long enough, maybe hit a few people here and there and stay back and move your Trents up to where they take some damage and health, or even, not and wait and keep them in the back. The amount that they can heal is pretty massive, even if they just heal themselves, or if they can get, one or two Trents back up, that's huge too. So to be able, utility wise, to heal that much as a tier 1 unit is pretty strong. Um, I honestly I haven't used the dryads a whole lot. I usually just run the pixies so I can keep on casting, but it is what it is. Scouts, I'll give the basic scout C. The only reason why I'm giving him C and not D is just because he has range. That's literally it. There's nothing else that's too good about him. He literally does nothing else either. Sorry guys, I'm trying to move my camera a little bit. It looks a little bit better. The assassins, for poison, I mean, it's okay and range, but I mean, it's not. I'll give him B, maybe A, but not really. And then the stalker, I gotta give him to B too. The stalker, I don't even use the stalker because I don't really think he's that good. Yes, you can go invisible, which, maybe early game that's super helpful to just use that, but at the end of the day, he's not really going to help your team, and the poison is pretty much the same as this one, but then you're point blank on that person, and you're going to get screwed because you're a tier 1 unit. So I don't really like the Stalker. I don't think that he's very worth it. So it just is what it is. Gremlins, kind of same thing with the Scouts, just because he is a shooter, I'll give him to C, and he's definitely not too bad. I mean, his stats are not that great, but I mean, if you would say, put him in B, I wouldn't be mad. I might even do that. But he's pretty decent just with that. Now, the upgraded one, you can repair golems, which I think is huge. It's a pretty decent amount, too. Um, So I definitely think they might go into S, honestly. I think I am going to give them to S. I think being ranged, especially because I try not to look at it as any of these people are going to have that hero. There is a Gremlin Master hero, which can obviously increase him, but that little bit of repair that you can do to the golems is pretty decent. Because I would say Gremlins are pretty mid as far as attack and defense. But that utility is pretty strong, especially with one of the stronger academy units to be able to repair them. Now the sabotage I give to B just because of the possible utility, but overall you're not really going to even be able to sabotage anybody. But even if you can, it's not super crazy, but if you like that option, then it is what it is. At the worst, this Gremlin is A tier in my opinion, but I definitely, it's a huge upside, especially if you're using the Golem guy and upgrading him with the Gremlin repair. It's, turns a fight around for sure. Um, let's see, just the plain Guardian. It's pretty good, less range damage. I'm trying to look at some of them. I have a little cheat sheet so I don't forget any utility in anybody's special stuff because there's a whole lot of units. Obviously, we're going through all of the tier 1s. I know most of them by heart, but some of the other ones that I don't use, I do. I have them all written down. But less damage and range when friendly units die, which is nice, and um, defensive resistance. I'll give him a B. I think he's the only actual quote unquote tank as far as a tier 1. I mean, he's not super tanky, but he's decent at it. And then the next one, same thing, but the further enemy comes to attack him, he takes less damage. I'll give that an A just because he's alright. I mean, still tanky there. And if you keep this one in the starting spot, he gets more defense. So it just kind of depends on how you want to play them, but nothing super crazy there for them. I think they're decent units. They're definitely, like I said, about the only quote-unquote tanks that you're going to get from there. But nothing super fancy. Alright, Bear Trap Goblin. I'll give it a B. I mean, it's okay to have the bear trap, and anytime he gets hit, he runs, so that's like a pro and a con at the same time. And this one, Defile Magic, it's not really anything crazy. Just the fact that you can mess up somebody a little bit with that, but it's not even giant. It's okay. I honestly like the Bear Trap Goblin better just for the chance to slow somebody down or stop somebody's unit. To me is huge. But that's just what I like. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think, where you guys would place your favorite and least favorite Tier 1 Heroes of Might and Magic 5 creatures. And we will see you guys in the next one. We got all other tiers of creatures to go. There's a whole list here. We've done the new towns video. We did our first actual heroes video as well, plus all previous ones if you guys want to check those out, see what's kind of different. But also check out my dual mode series. You guys might feel different about where I will and have placed every single creature because of it. It's definitely a huge reason why I've moved some people around. Just definitely opened up everybody's eyes. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.